All right, so we are live. All right, good day, Kofi. Good to be back. I actually have to apologize to you because the last stream we did, which was really, really great, the people won't get a chance to see it because I never actually went live. We were just like behind, what is it called, backstage the whole entire time. And then once I ended
I
it,
think the
I
mic went
went to
out
go try to
again.
look back. I went to go try to look at it on
Uh,
YouTube, and I was like,
just
"Where's the video?" So yeah, but thankfully, Kofi is a gracious guy and he decided to come back on again and chat. And I enjoyed our conversation the last time. So yeah. So let's start off. Let's start off. I think the first question I asked you the last time was, who is Kofi?
can't. No,
No,
no.
that's it. Mm, all right, I can hear you now,
Okay,
and I think we're back.
okay, cool, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So my first question: who is Kofi Newton? I think this is the first question I asked you the last time as well.
Well, I was gonna say my name is Kofi Newton. I, I'm a native to New York, born and raised. Um, if I could just take you through my story, I've been meeting, different people from the diaspora, and they asked me my name. They was like, hey, they expect me to. Oh, this is. Can we start? Can we start?
Yeah, take your time. Take your time.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I really feel like I want to start over now.
Okay. Yeah.
How? Wait. So, is this? Are we live? Live?
Yeah, we're like live, live.
Okay. Okay. Well,
But I mean, I don't know. I don't think anyone's watching right now, but I mean, people may
yeah,
watch it.
because I don't want to like mess up your video.
No. I mean, I'm building this audience, so I'm,
Okay.
it'll be fine. I think people like candid moments anyway. I think this whole push with COVID-19 has accelerated the amount of people who use, live streaming because
Hmm.
most people wanted meetings in person or whatever. But I think everybody's a little novice, like if that makes sense, because I mean, I tried to go live the other day and had a whole stream and never pressed the live button. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, you can start over.
Okay. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Kofi Newton. I'm 32. I live in New York City, Brooklyn, New York. Um, I'm a realtor. I'm a licensed realtor, and I've been also shooting films. I use some of my properties that I've been renting out to people to shoot some films, and letting people into my life a little bit. Um, I believe I'm a Pan Africanist. I believe that we should, find our way on the African continent and do business,
Yeah.
and also try to live there, and maybe maybe I believe our legacies could be laid down on the African continent.
Hmm.
Um, I believe this started with my name. My name being Kofi is from Ghana, is from the Shanti Kingdom, the Akan Empire in Ghana, and I would meet a lot of people from the African continent, most specifically from Nigeria and Ghana and South Africa. These are the people that I've come across, and we've just been having interesting, dialogue. Um, it's not too many chances you get to come across a Black American with an African name.
Yeah.
So then this just starts a huge dialogue, you
Mhm.
and I make
Yeah.
them
So
feel very very
tell us
welcome.
more. Do your parents tell the story of why they chose the name Kofi?
I just think it's just the same paths that I've taken in life. Where
Mhm.
I feel like I'm walking in their footsteps. I'm
Yeah.
walking in their footsteps.
Yeah.
There's my mother went to school with some Nigerians.
Mhm.
This guy named Olafemi.
Yeah.
I
I
can't.
mean, I'm saying that like I know him personally, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do not know him, but I know this name. I've seen this name.
And he became a professor at Ghana University,
Okay.
at one of the universities there. And I guess since he was going there, she decided to name me. I don't want to say it's because he was going there. I just think my mother found that name,
Yeah.
to be cool. It means born on a Friday,
Okay.
but I was actually born on a Tuesday, March 22nd, 1988.
So I bet that always gets a nice laugh when you tell your name and people are like, oh, you were born on Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
And she named my oldest brother Ayotunji, my second oldest brother Kwame, and my youngest brother, she named him Senku after Senke Joseph
Hmm.
of the Amistad.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
That was, I don't know, that was a little shaky.
No. It was cool. It was cool. So what do you love right now? I think you mute. Well, I don't
Technology
know.
is going.
Say that again.
I love where technology is going. I
Okay.
love I love Tesla. I love that they're using the lithium battery to add zero fuel emissions to the environment,
Mhm.
and manufacturing affordable cars. I believe is coming down. They brought it down to like 25,000, and I like I like what the future beholds of Africa. Africa right now has the youngest population. They said by 2050 it would have the youngest population on Earth,
Yeah.
and you can see Africa just getting a lot of attention.
Mhm.
And I believe like the last 10 years, the last 10 years, you know, Africa has been in the mainstream, and now it's kind of like full fledged. And I believe if you aren't doing anything on the continent or are surrounding the continent, then you're I feel like you're gonna be missing out.
Yeah. For sure.
Um,
Sure. I see you mentioned Tesla as well as the last time. Now, I haven't heard about this. So you say they have a vehicle that's about 25,000?
I believe either they have it now, or they're bringing the prices down to 25,000.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
you're gonna start to see more and more Teslas on the road, in which I
yeah,
I see them like all the time in parking lots and on.
yeah, I see them a lot too. And so if the price drops, it would definitely be a better it'd be a better choice,
Yeah,
because definitely
it's
need
and
it.
it's fast too.
And it's fast. And it looks nice. They look nice. They're nice looking cars, I
Yeah.
think. All right. So let me see. I talked about my Facebook post last time, but I'm not gonna talk about it this time.
Hmm.
I had quite a few people that were upset about that post. But I thought
Oh
it was
yeah, yeah.
funny,
they,
as far as the political commentary. I mean, it is what it is. But I do get the whole don't talk about her thing in a sense. But that's, I guess, a story for another day.
yeah, yeah. Can you go? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You're talking about Kamala.
Yes, yes, I'm talking about
Kamala.
okay. So let me tell the people what happened. So I saw one of my friends posted on Facebook posted an image of Kamala. It was the tagline was like, look at this beautiful collage of all the men that Kamala Harris locked up and like wouldn't let them out so that she could get extra labor for the state of California. And so it was a mosaic of like images of black men, and some were repeating. Um, and the image created her photo in the background of her laughing at the debate.
Yeah.
And I thought it was hilarious because the day before, all of these memes were going around with her laugh and her facial expressions, like it became a theme.
Hmm.
And so I thought it was hilarious that someone who obviously probably, I won't say doesn't like her or, wants to smear her in a way, created this collage based on that photo. I thought it was so funny. But I shared it because, I think most people's minds are made up anyway. But on a more serious note, I shared it because I feel like even if you have chosen your particular person you're going to vote for, you still need to stay on them about the policies and their records and all this other stuff. Because when it comes to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, it is a valid question to ask them. Okay, if you've been either working in the judicial system, or I won't say just the judicial system, but the criminal justice system, and then you later went into politics and began working in the judicial system, why haven't you created any extreme policy? And I think that's a fair question to ask them. So if you haven't done it in your career, why would I believe you would do it after you become elected? Which I think they would do it because the pressure is there. But I just think it's nice to have that added pressure to let them know we are watching and people are actively taking notes. I think things move faster
Well,
that way. But that joke did not land
well,
well with some people.
well. The truth is, she's been very involved in the prison industrial and industrial complex. She's been the decision maker on whether mothers go to jail if because they couldn't find a babysitter.
Yeah.
Then I believe a couple of people went to jail because of truancy because their kids maybe the kids had to stay home. To be honest, I don't really know some of the policies. I think one of the policies was on busing, and
Okay.
some parents wanted their children to go to different districts, and they wanted their children to go to better schools. Now, I believe a woman did it. She put her son and daughter in another district, and
Mhm.
but she did it illegally, and then this person faced a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I had to check my sources on this. Um,
Yeah, I heard that no one was well with the truancy thing. I heard that no one was actually arrested and whatnot. But I see what you're saying with the district
okay.
thing. Very well, probably could be a case where someone went to jail or something like that. And when you bring something like that up, I know one of my friends, even on that post, was like, she was the attorney general. She can't see everything, and you can't hold this one woman accountable, for whatever. Which I see what they're saying, but for me, it's not about trying to get Kamala to be punished, for what she did necessarily. I think it for me is more about letting her know that we're watching. That's something we did not like. Most people did not like that. It was unnecessary.
Yeah.
And with you being the person looking at this, I just feel like if you're not going to use your authority, what good is it? So
Yeah.
that's what it's about for me. I don't want to hear. I'm not going to defend people who want to just keep the status quo. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't come talk to me about these. You understand the needs of, the community, or you understand what people are going through, but then that's not reflected very obviously in the work that you do, you know? But I do give her grace as well, and,
Hmm.
Joe Biden, but not Joe Biden as much. Because I criticize Kamala, but I think Kamala is honestly better than Joe Biden. But we are what we are, and it is what it is.
Yeah, at least we don't have Bush, at least we don't have Reagan, back
Yeah,
in the office. But well, I guess Bush and Reagan equals Trump.
maybe I'm
Yeah,
not when it
that's what I
comes
believe.
to. I haven't studied
No,
race.
no, no,
I
not
haven't.
even Reagan. I believe like on Nixon.
Oh, okay, Nixon.
He's just
I
like
mean, I
a
can see
more a
from what
more
I
a
know.
more out. He's just more outspoken a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, so that was a really funny post. Now, what did you want to mention? I think you said you had some topics you wanted to bring up. Hey, yeah. So you said you had some topics that you wanted to bring up. What are they? Or what's our first thing we're talking about?
Um,
Oh, you can't hear me? Let's see.
Hello?
I can hear you, but you can't hear me. I don't know why. So we lost him again. Y'all, I really got to improve my yard stream skills and streaming in general. I'm really trying to do better. I was just telling the people. I don't know if you can. Oh, let me hold on. Let me add you. Okay, you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just telling the people. I was like, I really got to improve my live stream skills, and
I feel
I
like
was.
it went perfect the other time.
It did. Except we weren't live.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right,
But
we
it was
we can
like
keep on
great.
going though. Kamala Harris,
Yeah,
you know,
we'll see. I mean, I support her, and I support. I don't know. I'm conflicted. If I'm 100% being honest, I'll put it like this.
I like how she looked,
She's okay. She's
but
okay.
but looks doesn't get justice. It doesn't bring in the reforms that we need.
Right. I agree. Um, but I'm not super. Sometimes when people talk about the things Donald Trump has done, I'm like, oh, you're right. But I oftentimes forget about how problematic he is
Hmm.
because I mean, some things have not directly affected me. And then on the opposite side of that, like the whole tariff thing and cracking down on international people coming to work in the United States, that sort of benefited me as a person that speaks Chinese for work and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Because now it's harder for those people to come here and they can hire someone like me to do that job
Wow.
versus you know previously before it was harder for professionals to get visas to work in the United States. I would all people would just pass over me to hire a native speaker from China to do,
Yeah.
the type of work that I do. If it's, deeply Chinese related.
Hmm.
So that's been interesting. I mean, I did fine, but there were other jobs, but I noticed it sort of got a little bit better. But I don't know if that's really something under him. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when people are in more comfortable positions, they notice less. You know. But yeah, I mean, all of them suck. I just still can't believe Joe Biden became the nominee. But I mean, I guess it is what it is.
I believe
But
he became a nominee because he has probably has more money.
no,
He
yeah,
has he has a little bit more campaign money than the Kamala, and the people voted.
right, yeah. Um,
Kamala got out into the live stream early, and she was messing up herself. She's messing up.
he was messing up, but I mean, I wish them well. I wish them well.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell us, what countries are you thinking? Oh, let me tell the people how I met you. So I was
Okay.
watching Diana Samir's show on YouTube, Search for Huru, and Kofi called in. There were two people on the show from who live in Rwanda, a guy and a woman. The guy was from the Caribbean, but he lived in the United States for many years and then moved to Rwanda.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was a lady on the stream who is his business partner, and she is a
Judith,
native
Judith.
Judith. She's a native Rwandan, and so
Yeah,
they live in. Do you know what city they lived in?
they live in Kigali.
Oh, they live in Kigali. Okay, so they
Yeah.
live in Cali, which is the capital. And actually, you know, it's funny. I was reading a lot of news maybe about 2 years ago about Kigali being like the new tech hub of Africa, but I don't know if it was more PR versus reality. I don't know. But
Mm.
you know, things seem to be well there. I would definitely like to visit. But anyway, Kofi called in and asked some really interesting questions, and just from his vibe, I was like, I need to connect with this guy. And
Thank
so,
you.
um, no problem. We connected, and he began to send me after he figured out what I'm doing with, like, you know, ultra supply chain and, you know, startups and manufacturing and all of that. He was like, hey, you know, check these people out. You know, they may be good for you, or um, let me try to get people on your show because of what you're doing. And I really appreciate that. So he has a really great conversation, and that's how we met. And so I want to ask you, Kofi, what African countries are you thinking about moving to? So, like, what's on your list?
Well, I would say Nigeria. I would say Senegal, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Ghana, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Rwanda, and last but not least, did I say Liberia?
I know you didn't.
I'm gonna say Liberia, and I'm also gonna say Angola.
Okay.
These countries is on my list. Sorry, I picked so many. I just can't help it.
So, what about which one will you move to, or I guess?
Well, for starters, it's gonna be Ghana. You know,
Okay.
that's who my name is from,
Hmm.
and I sort of want to travel to different places, like let's say every other season, and I feel like what it most depends on is the weather. You
Yeah.
know, you have the rainy season in West Africa, and I don't think it's that serious. It's not that harsh. It's not gonna like send you running, but
Yeah.
you may want to enjoy a different climate. You may want to bring some like business ideas to other countries, so you could you know you could scale more.
Right. Right. I agree. So
Uh,
Ghana would be first for you, and
yes.
let's see. For me, I've only been to Kenya, like, you know, actually been there, and I went to
Okay.
Nairobi. But from the research I've done, I told you about my whole Mombasa thing, but I gotta probably explain it again. But
Hmm.
Mombasa for me makes the most sense right now, just because of all the trade that's happening between China. And like I mentioned to you in the last stream, one thing that I'm really working on as a supply chain expert is getting in there and helping manage the procurement and also the trade structuring trade contracts, you know, with China and other
Hmm.
nations too. But China is, you know, the main player. And so Mombasa, with it being such a huge port, and, you know, Dar es Salaam being right across the way, it's just a really good area for me to be in for what I do. Um,
Have
now,
you have you listened into Amin Ra? Because
now,
he lived in. Oh, you never heard of him?
wait, hold on. I think I have heard of Amin Ra.
He's been on Dynasty a couple of times, but he lives in well he the late Amin Ra he died.
Okay,
He passed away. God may you rest in peace. But
yeah.
he was in Mubasa giving like live feed of his life there.
Oh
And
wow, I'm gonna have to check it out.
yeah,
Are his videos still up?
yeah, he has a lot of videos.
Yeah, wow. Well, definitely may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
I'll check him out. But Mombasa seems like it would be a cool place. But once again, I've never been to Mombasa. I've only been to Nairobi, so I don't know if I got there, if I would be like, I hate this vibe. You know, I don't
How
know. I
how
doubt
long
it.
were you there?
I'm a pretty adaptable guy, and so outside of that, I'm really interested in Ghana, of course. The Gambia has become really interesting because I partner
Oh,
with.
I forgot about the Gambia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Juliet from Black Set. I'm sure you know her. Do you know Juliet with Black Set?
Juliet Black Sit. I think I know Juliet. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Her and Dr. Mooney were on a couple of shows together, I believe. I
I think
think.
so. And she also knows Woodemaya, and I think she was on
Okay.
his show at first, and then you know, he shouted her out for the great things she's
She
doing.
she's from London, right? She's from
Yeah,
England.
yeah,
Okay,
she,
yeah.
the UK, I think.
Yes,
Um,
I know of her.
Yeah, so I was on her show, and we have this initiative, Containers 2020. And
Mm,
for the people who don't know, Containers 2020 is an initiative we have at ultrasupplychain.com, where we are trying to increase domestic trade between Black people living in the United States, but also we're trying to link new trade routes and new purchasing patterns, really, and distribution patterns between North America and mainly the United States and West Africa. And we'll
wow.
probably start with the English speaking countries in West Africa, just because I mean, I speak English. And,
Right.
or I don't speak French, rather, because I mean, I speak more than English, but I don't speak French yet. So, we're trying to see how many ocean freight containers, no matter what's inside of it, can we get back and forth, this year as well as just beyond. 2020 was just the beginning of the initiative, because my initial thought as a supply chain person, and I work with a lot of physical commodities, and I've worked in different areas of category management, all kind of goods. So I'm always interested in helping people develop products, because sometimes when it comes to like buying Black, sometimes we need to just get into the market. People will support it if it's available and offered. And
Yeah.
so I think that there's a huge opportunity there to import African products that we can integrate into our, diets, or our, whatever routines, just to bolster that trade, and vice versa. We export U.S. products. I mean, we would prefer them to be Black owned, but if it's not Black owned, I'm more comfortable with telling people, okay, well, if you can get in on a distribution deal for that thing, do that if people want it. And
Hmm.
so it's about all of that. But when people initially come, they see that, hey, we're just trying to do Black business. And I actually was inspired by Marcus Garvey, of course, the late great Marcus Garvey, and his vision of being self-sustainable, Pan-Africanism, and group purchasing, or what was the phrase I think they used back then? Group economics, right? Group
Yes.
economics. And
And
so
that
from
comes from Claude Anderson.
yes,
Dr. Claude
well,
Anderson. I think that was the first person I've heard use that.
group economics, probably.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that he is creative with coining that term, but I'm not sure. But
And
anyway,
it could have been Dr. Ben. I'm not sure who created it. But you're right.
yeah, it could have been. I mean, it could have been Dr. Clyde Anderson. When people get credited with something, that's also complex too, because I mean, it's like the first person who claims it on paper, right? Or you convince the people to say that you said it first. But the concept itself of group purchasing, goes back a long, long way. But getting us to practice it, I think Marcus Garvey's purchasing of that steamboat and his vision
Yeah.
is the same thing. And he inspires me more. So, looking at him, I was like, okay, well, what can we do? What can I do? And so I came up with Containers 2020. Initially, I was going to release a new product that people could purchase into every month. And I'm focused
Okay.
on essentials. Like for me, it doesn't make sense that Black people don't have things that we use every day. Like we should have a Black owned like bath towel company, because all Black people have to purchase bath towels. We should have a Black owned soap company. We have a few
Mm.
Black owned soap companies. We should have a Black owned like sheets and bedding, Black owned hot sauce brand, Black owned ketchup. All of these things that people purchase anyway, we should at least get into those markets. That's my thought. But also look at the opportunities there. Let's take a very American product like something I was thinking about, pecans. Okay, pecans are a huge.
Pecans.
Yeah, you're from New York, and Mississippi is pecan.
I know I said pecans.
Uh-huh. We
Pecans.
say
Okay,
pecan.
okay.
Well, we say pecan. I just say pecan, but pecan. Anyway, pecans, for example. Let's say, pecans are a very good commodity anyway, but they don't hold well, blah 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 blah. Just let's just use them for an example. Let's say we decided to get pecans, and we found there was a market for pecans in the Gambia, for example. There's a great opportunity for an American
Okay.
Black person to be on that deal and at least help distribute and negotiate that. right? Because once you purchase them from the farmer, they're yours, you know? So
Hmm.
things like that. Or, wine. I've been seeing a lot of wine that I'm interested in exporting to West Africa. I'm actually working on getting my Florida liquor license. I have like the federal liquor import and export license, but I don't have my state license yet. So I'm working on that. And I have quite a few things that I'm interested in exporting as well as importing into the United States. Um, but even with that, even if we just think about the West African aspect, if we're importing things like West African grains, for example, like rices and all these things, we're importing West African grains, West African liquors, West African soaps, and other things that are produced. We are already consuming those things as Americans from whoever we're consuming them from, right? The corporations that we're currently getting them from.
Yeah.
It's much easier to shift in than recreate manufacturing in the short term. You see what I'm saying? So that's what Containers 2020 is all about. So I want to see it both ways. How many containers of goods can we get from West Africa to the United States and vice versa from the United States to West Africa? And when people come and they're interested and they say, hey, I have a little money to invest, but I need to figure out what to do with it. It goes back to these products that I just named. I'll begin to put groups of people together and I'll do all the costing out and say, hey, well, if we want to launch this thing or start it, it will cost this much. And then we just put them together and once again as a group,
Hmm.
see just how much we can do. And if it works the way it's supposed to work,
And mhm.
I was gonna say if it works the way it's supposed to work, I mean it should be quite lucrative. And it should also get that, that black dollar spinning
And
more times.
yes, and you know, if Africans are exporting, if they're exporting mineral resources, are they exporting um materials to us to be processed in the United States, but to then you know go back and forth between the diaspora and the indigenous people there,
Mhm.
we're both circulating within our $1 trillion market,
Exactly.
and
And
I
so that
believe that's very genius.
yeah,
That's a
that's
good
what it's
that's a great
about.
idea.
That's what it's about. And so, but I can't do it alone. So I mean, I need, great people like you and other people to come on and help grow it. But also just I think we lost Kofi here. But what I was gonna say, also just the idea of it, I'm hoping it inspires other people, to go out and make it happen as well. I'll be doing my part, but it's definitely going to take more.
Kind of,
All right, he's back.
yeah.
Yeah, words of O'Shea, the white man got you.
Yeah, sometimes you
I
know
think that is so hilarious.
you know what happens too? I think when I'm dipping in and out of like Facebook and I'm like posting this chat and I'm like I'm sharing it to like 600,000 followers from like Black
Ah,
Knowledge, and I think it just kind of has these like bugs that happen, because
yeah,
maybe these sites are trying to pick up my audio and then they're trying to share audio with StreamYard, so it's like you know.
yeah,
But I think
maybe.
that's a great idea. That's a great idea, and I always wondered, when people realize that we're gonna go do business in Africa and like go live out there, they think we're like abandoning them. But
No,
I don't think that's it. I feel like we're still gonna have family over here. So as long as we have family over here, we need to we're like actually bridging the gap, and
yeah,
we're introducing them to a whole new economy, just as well as we're introducing people on the continent to economies over here,
right,
and
exactly. And I
this is
mean,
just trade.
and here's the thing for me: when I see black business,
Hmm.
I don't always see it as black exclusive, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like if I mean, we're going to use a common commodity. Let's say shea butter. I mean, a lot of people are selling shea butter anyway, but
Hmm.
let's say shea butter, for example. If we can begin to also export that to Central and South America, am I going to not export it because, those people aren't quote unquote black, no. I mean, I think that's a great opportunity as well. But you do have some people, they only want to do business with black people. They only want to consume black items, and I mean that's fine too. But I think
Mhm.
what you were just talking about, as far as people feeling like we're abandoning them, um, I just think it depends on the people, because I've met people who are Pan Africanists and like they hate the thought of like not being exclusively African, if that makes sense. So when they leave the United
Right.
States, or they leave Europe, or they leave wherever they're leaving from, they have no desire to do trade with that country or visit that country. So
They don't want to have one, how you say, one foot in. They want to, I guess they don't want to have both feet in like both places.
right, right. But for me, I think I've always been the type of person that's sort of like even in Africa, I don't think I would just have one or two houses. You know what I mean? I think I probably would
Yeah.
have homes in different places, and spend my time that way. But I don't know. We'll see what 20 years down the road looks like. But in my mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I like the world. I don't like a country, if that makes sense. And so for me, because that's my worldview. Oh, sorry, we lost Kofi again. Um, he's back. All right. Yeah. So what I was saying was, for me, I'm more interested in the world than just one particular country. And
Hmm.
so because that's my worldview, that's sort of what makes me comfortable. I'm more afraid of not having freedom of movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't think it's a diff. It's a an I don't think it's an extra expense, or I don't think it's I believe it's very inexpensive during these times to travel from country to country. As
Hmm.
long as we have these different diaspora, communities on the ground, and they're open to people from the West coming in, I believe
Hmm.
we'll have access to like different cities.
Yeah, yeah,
And this should be done purposely. There should be, not only should we build one or two or three or four um, guest house for diasporans traveling. I think we should build like hundreds of like units
yeah,
for people like us to to just go and be comfortable in a city, and register a business, and flood flood just more ideas in it. These are like, I believe these would be like the tech spaces,
yeah,
or diasporan tech spaces, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It does make sense. And I mean, we can do all of that. It's just a matter of not wasting our youth, I guess. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think as long as we do what we're doing and really push, I think it'll happen. But you know, I don't. I know I can't do everything, but I'll
Hmm.
do my damnedest to try to get everything done.
Same
If
here.
I have to.
And are we, are we scared of competition, or are we scared of do we really care about who does it first, or like who makes this much money or not? I know money is very important, but we have to facilitate. I don't even use this word ever, but we have to make sure that money money isn't over us.
Yeah,
Money isn't kicking our ass. We have to take the money and use it as a tool.
yeah,
If
I
that
agree.
makes any sense.
I definitely like money. I don't let money control me, but
Yeah.
I do like it. Now let me see. I had a point. You said something just now that was really interesting. And let me know if the birds get too loud. Now I'll cover them up.
Oh no, the birds are good. The birds are good.
Um, you said something that was really, really interesting. You said, how did you start that last bit off? You said of a competition. See, I'm not
Yeah.
afraid of competition just because. Well, I'm more afraid of working and not being compensated, because
Exactly.
I see that happens a lot.
Oh
I won't
yeah,
say
yeah.
amongst us. I don't think that's. I think it happens amongst anyone who's doing trade. People try to get what they can get for the lowest price and free if they can get it for free, no matter what it is. So
Yeah.
I'm more about making sure that if I'm spending money on something or spending a lot of time on something, that if it can be commodified sustainably and responsibly, that
Hmm.
that happens. So
Yeah,
that's
and
where I'm at with it.
ideas shouldn't be free too.
I-
Ideas shouldn't be free too. You could be in a group one day and like share all your ideas, and then like next thing you know, the group don't like you, but then they run away with your ideas, and
yeah,
I'm
that
like,
happens
okay,
all the time,
how
all
can how can we
the
protect
time.
that at least?
With that, I mean, unless you are trying to like file copyrights and patents and all that kind of stuff, I mean, there's nothing you can
Hmm.
really do. And I mean, you also have to have attorneys to fight those cases. But I mean, in Africa, um, I don't know. But on the flip side of that, I can tell you opportunity. Like if people began to use the African patent offices to imitate patents that exist in the United States, that could be
Hmm.
like a strategy people could use developing countries. And I'm pretty sure people already do it, but I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if then people gonna come in constantly and challenge this and that. But I guess it depends.
Yeah,
But and then I mean, a lot of things have global patents as well. So I guess it would just depend who's participating and who's not. But
yeah,
I don't know if there's a real way to protect that
intellectual
becomes
property.
yeah, I mean it's a way to protect, but it's a moral problem and it's like an integrity problem when people steal things like that. I'm also concerned when we see that behavior, we usually don't address it. You know what I mean? Or
Mm.
if someone's doing someone wrong, they don't address it. But at the same time, unfortunately, when people do business, eggs get broken if that makes sense. So what's the saying? When you're baking cake, you got to break a few eggs.
Yeah,
So disagreements and things are naturally going to occur when two separate entities or multiple entities try to converge under one idea. But we have to be better with how we deal with those things. Like I mean, yeah, yeah,
yeah. It's tough because these things are inevitable. You can't you can't you can't live without them. I'm a person of many ideas, but I'm also a person that like to express himself,
hmm
and people will turn what you say, no matter if you're saying it for like the sake of nuance. People will take what you say and throw it right in your face
yeah,
and kind of like make you look like the bad guy, even though you're like a key person on these like topics. So like you saw me the other day on Dinah's show. I was trying to prolong the show, but then it's just me trying to come in and help. It like backfired because
oh
you
yeah,
had a person that didn't know my intentions,
yeah, yeah,
and I'm
yeah. But I
like,
thought
man,
that guy that was on Dinah's show that day, he was
yeah,
just like that's just his personality. He's just an asshole. You can tell because I mean he used that same tone and that engagement with Dynast a few times too, and I was like,
and I
this
and
guy,
and
he's
it's
very patronizing, if that makes sense. You know what I
and
mean?
if he only knew what I was trying to do, if he knew that, hey, Kofi's trying to come on here and make the show longer, so
Yeah.
people could see their businesses, so people could pay attention and like be clients,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
that's all I was trying to do, and he shut them all out, and I'm like, damn, like how can we get anywhere if there's such clashes, you know?
I
So
agree.
like it's this attitude of like, oh, I'm over you, I'm older than you, I'm better than you, shut up.
Yeah, it
we
was
have we have
definitely
to
it was
get out
definitely
of it.
that attitude. Like, oh my God, how is he coming on here talking about women and like what I mean? It was like
Oh
that's
yeah, yeah. He was like, stop this right now, stop. I'm like,
like
dude, I
he
almost
thought
got
he thought you were trying to make a joke about
He's got
um,
married.
African like traditional culture as far as like bride pricing and all that. He thought you were trying to be funny, and so
Okay,
that's why he responded to you that way. But I mean,
but what I'm Judith was saying, she was saying like, hey, for you, you don't have to do this. You don't have to go deep into the Rwandan culture. But see, they do it,
uh
and
huh,
they're seeing us as the outsiders, and they're seeing like, well, hey, you don't even get to touch, you don't even get to court us this way anyway, because one, you're a foreigner, you're a Rwandan man. So I'm trying to get to the underlining of how can can black men from outside properly fit into the traditions of any forms of like kinships laws, or like, are we going to be seen as outsiders, or are we going to be seen as one of you? And I felt like even like in her language, she was saying, well, we do that, but for you, you're not. I feel like she was saying like, you're not even going to be able to marry us, if that makes sense. We didn't get there, but I did want to go there. And for the
yeah,
Zimbabwean language, and for the Zimbabwean culture, even if you're an outsider, they still would want you to pay a dowry and pay bride price, and
yeah. But that's not what I heard her say. I actually heard her say that she said it just depends on the woman and like what
yeah,
you and that woman decides. Like some women like it as far as I won't say like it, but
it like benefits their family.
it
I
benefits
feel.
their family or they look at it as okay, well, it's something my mother did, her mother did, and her mother did, and her mother did. So I need to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Versus if you don't have that perspective, women probably won't look at you crazy or whatever. But I think she was just saying you need to be prepared if you meet a woman and that's what she wants in her
yeah.
relationship and whatever. But vice versa, I think she was like most people don't do that anymore.
And we could these things aren't so political. We could build businesses out of these. We need to implement like social technology, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. To
I agree with you 100%. There's no reason why things aren't already. Well, I mean, there are a few apps. I know this guy from. I don't know if I think he lives in Germany, but I want to say
mhm,
he is Kenyan. He may be Kenyan, and he developed a social media app. And I helped him do
mhm.
like beta testing for it. And I mean, I think that was going to be very promising. But there are all types of things that could be done. Look at Nollywood, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like Nollywood and Tyler Perry have the same fucking story.
yes, yes,
They have the same story. It's like,
yes,
and that should be a model for anyone as far as what I was talking about earlier. People want to consume your commodities,
hmm
but people are afraid to produce, whether it's
mm,
media, physical commodities. People are afraid to produce, but people are willing to consume it because one, people like a good story. If human beings will read a book, as
hmm
boring as that is, reading a book because of the things you can see in your mind while you're reading and all that. If people can sit down and read a book, they can watch a video that's not produced in Hollywood or to those so-called standards.
yeah,
And so people have been able to build and build and build and build and build and build and build. And so I think that's what it's all about. I think that's what it's all about. So with these tech companies that you're mentioning, I mean, the opportunities are endless. Something that I'm working
endless
on. Do you know the guy who owns Solo Funds? I cannot
solo
remember his name right now, but Solo Funds is
solo. Wow.
yes,
No, I
Solo Funds.
don't.
Well, anyway, this guy, I think he lives in New York. Well, I assume he lives in New York. I don't know, but he has a platform where you can peer-to-peer lend, and so you can do like micro loans basically. So I mean, instead of going to the check cashing place, I'm not the check cashing place, but like the terrible fucking predatory loan places in the city. Now people can just use their phone and get like $100 and get $500. I mean, you need to pay these people back, of course, but the interest rate is lower, I think.
It's
And
called it's called Sola.
solo, SOLO,
Solo.
yeah,
Solo
solo,
funds.
yeah, solo fund. But I've
Okay.
been trying to get in contact with this guy, so if you know him
Oh
through your,
wow.
I need to speak with him. But
Okay, and I might be able to contact. I might be able to track him down. I might, who knows? And I
yeah,
am in the city, so who
yeah,
knows?
I think he may be in New York, but I'm not sure. I have to check. But he's also a really, really cool brother. A lot of great things going on, and he is one of the tech guys. He makes a lot of apps, and he's into this whole micro credit, micro lending thing. And I don't know if what other plans he has strategically, as this thing grows. But I have something that I was working on like 5 years ago,
Mm.
that I really want to. I know he would be the guy to get it done. And so I would like to talk to him seriously and see if he can at least, I mean, if he doesn't want to help or partner or whatever, if he can point me in the right direction.
Mhm.
But yeah, solo funds. But opportunities are huge, for all types of tech companies, and especially media companies. But I think we have to also encourage one another, just because we have to realize this is the first generation that is meeting each other since slavery occurred. And I think we
Yes.
sometimes forget that. We forget that this is the first generation that is able to reconnect, en masse because of social.
At a massive level, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say we are.
And so, and what I learned while I was in China, because I got my first, my the most interactions I had with like Africans that weren't born or raised in the United States, because I went to university with a few. The majority of Africans that I went to university with were people who had grown up in the United States. Some of them were like international students, but most of them had grown up in the United States, at least
Mm.
from like high school and up. So they were also very they were integrated more into like the traditional Black American culture, if that makes sense. So,
Mhm.
um, but I never had really too many intimate conversations with them, because on my campus we were also fighting white supremacy like hell. So I mean, that unifies most people. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I had when I lived in Virginia Beach and I went to the Tidewater Community College there. You
uh-huh,
had a couple. There's a couple of Marines there that they're not too fond with light skinned people with mustaches because then we'll just look Middle East and
yeah,
so we'll get mistaken as being Muslim and then you just hear this like vitriol come
yeah,
out and it was like no I'm black and it was like well shit it's the same thing to me nigga
right,
saying nigga and
right,
you get these it's something I've never experienced being in the North because white people, to me, they're just gonna call the cops.
yeah,
But white people down there, they're a little bit more like on the rough side. You know, their skin actually changes red when they get angry, and you can tell where they're angry or not by the by the color of their skin. You know,
yeah.
and I'm like,
That's
wow,
so
that's something I never experienced. Like, damn,
that's so funny. Yeah. I don't know. I have never been to the North and dealt with like white people per se in New York,
yeah.
but from what
Like
I've
they don't have guns and the only people that have guns are like the police officers. But like when you go to the South, it's like everyone has a gun and like okay,
Yeah, but that like my family has been in Mississippi and Alabama like forever. Like during the Great Migration, my family didn't leave or anything like that. But
yeah.
when you see the people who remained in the South, well, I mean, it's a lot of reasons people remain there. But one thing about Mississippi, we shoot back.
Oh yeah,
So everybody got a gun. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So that's never an issue when it comes to. I think that's also a difference. But
It is, it is. Because
but
you have to be more. I feel like people from the city since the gun laws are so strict. You know, handling a gun versus a person who handles a gun in the South, I believe a Southern person would win in a gunfight because they practice they have the chance to practice all the time.
mhm,
While we're just getting like either police drug guns on us or the robbers drug guns on us. It's like no in between,
mhm.
you know. And
Yeah,
that's why I was trying to bring up like, hey, is it easy to get into the military? You know,
yeah.
should we go into the military? Because a lot of us don't have military experience.
Mhm.
This is also something that's another business idea. Instead of me going into the military, well, hey, let me start my own training to like train people from the diaspora.
Right.
hello. And I'm like, let's just be more open-minded instead of you just looking at me and looking at my face. Like you don't know me, so I don't see how you could talk to me. This I don't see how you could just from my face and from the question, how you could just shut it down. It's like it's just you know, I want to be able to work with everyone, you
Yeah.
know, and like be very open and like solve problems, you know. And I believe everything in life could be turned into business, you
I
know,
agree. Most things can be commodified.
everything, you know.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say about that story, as far as this being the first time we're all connecting,
Yeah.
um, hold on, my bird is in distress. One second.
I I don't even I feel like on your end you could really hear it. I barely hear her.
Yeah, they're being a little weird.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, what
It
I was
sounds
saying.
like it sounds like you're in Africa. It sounds like you're like a tropical place. And,
I am. I mean, I am in a tropical place, but I love birds. I like that sound. That's one reason I got this type of bird because they're not too loud, and I
okay.
really enjoy like the sounds of birds and crickets and stuff like that. But what I was saying was when I lived in China, that's the first time I got to really interact with continental Africans for the first time.
Oh
And
wow.
so, I always do this type of work where I'm trying to get people in the community together and all this stuff. So I used to hold events like I used to hold events in college, but I also began to do events in China where I would just try to get everybody together. My thing was always bridging the gap, bridging the gap, bridging the gap.
Hmm.
And I never forget, I was speaking with this guy. He was from Cameroon, and he was like, we don't need African Americans, blah, 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 blah. But once again, I never internalized anything like that or whatever, because I had to realize this is once again the first time we are all reconnecting. And so
Mm.
that's a very powerful thing to think about. Because what I also later learned while I was there was this: while we experienced what we experienced, through slavery, when they experienced colonization, this guy told me, no, no, no. Someone else told me a story of how people would go out, right? Like to go hunting or something like that, or, go on a tour or something like back in the day.
Hmm.
They would come back and the whole village would just be gone or kidnapped. And so
Wow.
then this started like, the griots would, when they would tell the family history, they would be like, oh, and this person who went into the forest and never came back, because he was kidnapped or she was kidnapped.
I can't imagine. Wow.
Yeah, and so they had their own trauma
That's
also
trauma. Yeah.
on, but they didn't necessarily forget us. You know what I mean? And so with us coming back like this, and mainly because of social media, it's a really powerful thing. But once again, I think we need to have patience on both sides. But outside of that,
Yeah.
I will say I think we have officially gone past the whole Africans don't like African Americans or African Americans don't like Africans, blah blah blah. I think we're sort of
I'm
past that now,
I'm
and so
very past that. I don't even care anymore whenever I hear that, hey, this writer for a show such and such Lovecraft said used Akata and said, hey, her mother said don't date Akata. I'm
uh,
like, all right, I could be even really mad, in which look, you should be disappointed. But you have to say like, hey, this person is obviously working on a show about African Americans and about the history that we face in this country. So of course their mindset has changed from 5 years, 6 years ago. We can't hold a person to that if we're expecting them to change, you
yeah,
know. But the conversations did get ugly,
yeah, and I
you
mean
know.
you're gonna have bigots no matter where you go. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
gonna always have bigots. Like, I mean, here you got people who won't even date people in certain professions. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. You're gonna
yeah,
always have some kind of bigot. So I mean, I just don't think of those people at all because I've met way too many Black Americans who revere Africa, and I've met
yeah,
way too many Africans who directly see, diasporans as their family.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I, I just discount those folks as what they are, which is like, um, dissonance in very small quantities. Like, I mean, they're loud,
Exactly.
but they're so different, you know. But
Yeah.
but I think unmasked, we've sort of moved past it, just in the sense that there are so many people who've had the conversation already, and also people like us who are actively pushing back on the notion
Hmm.
that I think now things are becoming clear. And also, here was my huge point, because I don't know if you watch like Yvette Carnell or not.
Yeah, I have.
So one of her early critiques of African continent, she was like, okay, well, you know, you guys are sovereign, you guys have power. Why don't you go ahead and offer citizenship to, you know, African Americans? You know, why won't you do that? She was kind of having that
Mm.
attitude. And once countries began to move to do that, I never heard her come back and say, you know, this is a great thing. Look at what they're doing. But, you know, she just kind of glazed over it. Like, and that pissed me off, honestly, just because I'm all for honest critiques, as we talked about earlier with Kamala. I'm all for honest critiques. But when
Mm.
somebody does some phenomenal shit, give them their things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Give them their props. Because that then I have to ask, what is your real agenda here? If you're not
Mm.
willing to recognize progress, especially when it's progress in the direction of your critique.
Mm.
You know?
It
So
it she what it that got glared over, and then the focus just became on like reparations and
well, the focus was always reparations, but during the reparations conversations, when people would talk about, you know, the ideology of ADOS, terrible name, by the way. I understand what she
yeah.
meant, but terrible fucking name.
It's
That was my
it's
critique from the get.
insulting.
Terrible name.
Yeah, it's insulting because when you have to say like, hey, we just don't come from slavery. I mean, yes, there was a time when we were slave, but we freed ourselves.
Yeah, but her
So
thing
it's
is
like,
reparations. So I mean, she wants to use that verbiage because it's politically only about reparations. You know, her that thing isn't about anything else other than reparations. So
yeah.
because slavery happened, she wants to use that verbiage. But I knew that it would spill over into the mainstream, and people would also use this as a cultural marker rather than something that
Oh
they
yeah,
use
they do
for a
it now.
political reason.
Now
Right.
ADOS is like, okay, you know who they're talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I'm ADOS of what she considers, but I mean, still bad name. But I take that
Yeah.
back to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King with like our names. You know, we have a terrible naming history here in the United States of naming things as well as ourselves. And
Yes.
so, one critique Malcolm X gave to Martin Luther King was that we shouldn't have called the civil rights movement, like in pop culture, that we
Mm.
should have called it the black rights movement. And
Mm.
so that's powerful when you take that comment to today when we have Black Lives Matter that are like, hey, you need to see us specifically, blah, 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 blah. And also the critiques of, you know, other communities like the LGBT community as well as women who latch on to that civil rights moniker when the work was
Oh
done.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
do,
White women tend to just jump over the fence into oppression, and then put themselves in the front. And I'm like, wait, hold
I saw
on.
that clip. I saw
You
that
see the
clip, by
clip,
the way,
right?
from
Yeah.
SNL. That was the clip. But I
Yeah.
mean, this is my thing. But I think this was Malcolm X's point.
Okay.
When you call it civil rights, it has to be for everyone. You know what I'm saying? So they're not wrong. They're not
Right.
wrong.
Right.
But we did the work for something, calling it something else, giving it a different name. So once again, it's like we got a bad name in history, and then you get to the whole Negro, which we didn't choose that name, but you
Yeah.
know, Negro, colored, black, all of that kind of
And
stuff.
then Nigeria being taken from the word negro, but with the English calling us niggers, it
Hmm.
just meant nigger area,
Right,
Nigeria. And then
right,
that's like, wow, these names are kind of mind blowing, because how how can we deal with that? And I think we can deal with it, but it's like, damn, like we got to change the name, but it's like, this name is just too ingrained in Nigerians' name, like in their history. So it's just gonna stick. Like, I don't look. I'll be the first one to say, look, I'm a nigga. You know, I'm your nigga. But it is kind of crazy. Like wow. If they were
I'm
just calling us black, okay, I get it. We are black. If they were just trying to say that, you know. But it's a harsh history when repeatedly someone's degrading you with the N word.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, names are
I
good.
use I use the N word. I I use the N word. Let me see. I don't know. It gets weird because even with black, then you have to argue with the people about, being black in law versus white in law, or black versus being non-black, and
Yeah.
all that stuff too. Um, and I mean, I guess it still goes back into like the limitations, one, of English, and then also sometimes people don't want to engage in a real life semantic debate, if that makes,
Mm,
you know what I'm saying? They would
yeah.
rather they'll act like they don't understand because they don't want to admit that things can have, multiple meanings and whatnot. People want to get stuck on one and also pigeonhole you to that when we all know, it's
And
more.
play stupid a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, but I saw the SNL clip. That was hilarious. But I wonder, I
Yeah.
wonder how this is going to move forward because I heard this guy is actually married to a black lady.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He's married to a black woman. Bill Burr.
Now, what is this trend that we see where white men comedians married to black women seem to have more gusto, you know?
Yeah. I'd be the first to explain this. I look if white people are if they're, let's say, 60 or 70% of the population and we're only 13% of the population, we're kind of always in their spaces, and I believe that just due to like human nature, we we are less skeptical with people outside our gene pool, outside our DNA pool. We are less skeptical
Now, you mean as humans or black people?
as humans.
Okay.
So like Bill Burr going to another Irish woman, he's been around them all his life. He grew up with them and his family, his mother, his sisters, and he and maybe it just been so much of a letdown for him, especially in his um profession as a comedian. He's he don't he doesn't know he's gonna be a breadwinner, and then
Hmm.
bam, like as soon as he gains success, oh, he meets a black woman. Same
Yeah.
with the Robert De Niro's of the world. Same with the this guy I forgot the band he played in. I can't get him. But he also married the person who married Jones. I can't get her name for some reason.
You
Um,
say who married who?
this famous his name not Ziggy Stardust, but he likes to play the character Ziggy Stardust.
I don't know.
Um,
But I
and he
want wine.
married.
I'm gonna have some wine.
You gonna have some wine? Okay. Let me see.
Are you looking for that guy's name?
Yeah, I have to find it because he
Yeah, but
married
I
this
mean,
model.
I'm a fan of anybody who's telling the truth, but I think it's so funny that white men are criticizing. Well, it's interesting to see a white man criticize white women
A
in this
white
way, but I think
woman.
it's even more interesting that this white man is married to a black woman.
Yes,
You know?
David Bowie and Grace Jones.
Oh, I didn't know that they were married.
I I hope they're married. I
I
hope
don't know. I don't
so.
know David.
I don't
I
get this
mean,
wrong,
I
but
know of him.
no,
I don't know.
right, man. Maybe I'm messing this up.
I don't know.
Let
I
me
mean, maybe
see.
they back in the day or something. But
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, what how do we even get there? Oh, we were talking about this whole I was
White.
saying how I believe this African versus African American thing is officially dead. Because
Yeah,
people know better now. We've had too many conversations now, and like we love them, they love us. We
yeah,
cousins.
yeah.
Well, we're siblings actually.
But there's a trend of like interracial dating, and I believe that I don't see nothing wrong with it because technically, any white person who gets with a black person, they're willing to dilute their gene pool and just take away from their whiteness, almost killing their whiteness. Now, if they're willing to do that, I don't see nothing wrong with that. As a black person, I see that as I almost see that as a win.
Uh-huh.
Now, am I gonna be an insecure person and think that there's not enough black women for me, or that there's not enough black men for like black women? Like, I don't really want to play into that because the world, the non-white world have bigger populations than white people.
Yeah.
So me knowing that, I'm like, hey, this does nothing to me.
Yeah.
I don't feel threatened. They should feel threatened,
Um.
and that's how they've been. They've been harsh with us because they
Yeah.
know as soon as some power and money gets in our hands, we can flip this shit back on them. And
Yeah.
that's what they've been trying to prevent the last couple of centuries. You
For
know?
me, I don't care who dates interracially or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
all into the
Have you
minds.
ever felt like a little bit of jealousy, like just a little bit? Like, have you ever felt something like and said, "Why do I feel this?"
No, not at
No.
all.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm pro interracial dating. So for
Okay.
me, it's not that I'm pro interracial dating, but I don't care. I'm more concerned about the person's mentality because I mean,
Yeah.
two black people in a relationship and they both unaware of, they just don't have the awareness of policy and what we're going through and all this stuff. I
Hmm.
think that they're in a sense, I won't say worse, but I think they will be less productive for what we are trying to do compared to like an interracial couple that
Hmm.
is here with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't look at it like that because I mean, I think two black people can have a European baby and a European family if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I think technically two white people could totally integrate into like African society and whatnot. But I
Mm.
think that that's gonna take a lot of unlearning and relearning of, you know, what's European, what's not. It's
Hmm.
like this. It's funny. I thought about this the other day. It's kind of like when people use an example of something white, like let's take a stereotype, fried chicken, for example.
Hmm.
I think it's crazy that you will let someone pervert your cultural thing and then you believe what they told you about it.
Yeah.
Like the fried chicken is not the problem. It's the person who wants you to believe that the fried chicken is a problem that's the problem. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so that's the kind of thing that I'm on. So I mean, I don't really care who dates interracially. I know for me, I wouldn't be able to date anyone who is not conscious and aware anyway, whether they're black or not. You know what I mean?
Hmm. And it's almost a fact that a lot of white people
Hmm.
they don't understand black problems, and that's a given. A lot of black people don't understand why white people do certain things they do. It's just until they explain these things to you.
Hmm.
I feel that's the only annoying part because it may just come out as racist on their end, but if you have to give them the benefit of the doubt, if you're willing to go outside your race or your culture, people are going to be ignorant of some things, and you just got to you got to take your time to like teach them. And
Yeah.
I believe these are the problems, and like look, I'll have sex with any type of woman because sex is a pleasurable thing.
Uh-huh.
But when it comes to like mental stimulation, I'm probably gonna get that from I would hope a black woman who understands me.
Yeah.
Now even that's controversial because if I'm going to Africa and this black woman just want to stay here, we're probably not going to meet each other mentally.
Yeah. I feel you on that.
So
I feel you on that. Um, well, let me ask you this. How you feel about Rachel Dolezal? Because I've got mixed
Rachel,
I don't
Yeah.
have mixed. Well, I mean, do I have mixed? I don't have mixed feelings about it, but I've heard different perspectives on Rachel Dolezal. How do you feel about
Well,
Rachel Dolezal?
one, she did fool us.
Uh,
She was a white person who
she
passed for
fooled you.
black.
She ain't fooled me. No, I'm just playing. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
She was a white person who passed as a black person, and everyone was like, "Hey, she's just light skinned."
Right, right.
Until I believe either some of her family members came out and outed her, and I think she did a couple of it's not even that she did a couple of DNA tests. She on I believe on her birth certificate it says she was white.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah, she
and
definitely was white.
and you know she claimed white, and so it's like you can't unclaim it. You know,
But
it's
I
like
don't know.
that.
That's what the question was. So the people who were on the opposite side. Now these are black people. I know a anthropologist who was
Hmm.
like, Rachel Dolezal is black. Well, she was like, we know that she wasn't black, but she was like, if this lady running around living a black life and doing the type of shit she did, why she
Yeah.
can't be black? And I mean, when I had sat with that, I was kind of like, once again, but you know the ideology I just mentioned to you.
Hmm.
I'm at the point where I think an African looks like this. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I'm willing to take a second look because this person could not be African in their mind, or they could just not be aware. Because that's another thing. Some people just have not had that moment that thrusts them into consciousness unless they were raised in it. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and in a sense, you're just dealing with people who need to be awoken or whatever. But on the opposite side of that, I guess the real question is this: are we willing to accept non-black people who
Hmm.
ideologically are black or Afrocentric or whatever? And what does that look like? Because I mean, whether we like it or not, and this is what this person told me from their perspective, that was sort of like Rachel Dolezal is a black woman. She was like, Rachel Dolezal went and studied African American studies.
Hmm.
She then took this degree and began to put it to work in the NAACP and all this shit. Fully changed her status to a black person and was living a black life, cornrows and everything. And she
Hmm.
was like visiting Africa and whatnot. So this person was like, she is outdoing black people at being black. So why can't she be black? If like this person was basically like, who are these people to criticize her when they have not even attained or had the level of desire that this lady has to benefit the black community? What would you say to that?
I would say, yeah, she's taken black positions from black people by pretending she's black when she's actually white.
Right.
And that's what it is. Had it been a small position that no one cares about, whether people found out or not, people would be like, "Oh, let her rock." It's not like she's
Even
gonna
if
be president of the was the
NAACP,
NCAACP,
yeah,
and
NAACP.
but
Once
she
actually
became
even a
right.
black
She became a
organization, I
president.
mean it's black, but But anyway, my thing about
So
it is this.
I believe someone was like looking at her skin and was like, "There got to be something we got to find on this lady. There's got to be something that's off about her. That's not true." And the fact that they found out she was white, that was it. And it was the fact that she got to this big position,
Yeah,
and
I'm
that's
gonna tell
that's
you
that's
what my
it.
problem with Rachel is. My problem with Rachel is the lie. I feel like I think she could have been more effective as a white lady choosing to be
Mm.
like, I'm here with y'all. I see y'all. I understand y'all. I feel like y'all. I was born in
Hmm.
this body. Not to do the whole trans thing, but I was born in this body.
Hmm.
But I feel this way. I've been educated in this way. I think she would have been way more effective as a white woman
Hmm.
than lying and going through the deceit of trying to get us convince people that she was a born black woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my problem with it. But overall, let me see. Like, if I was the judge, let's say, Kofi, you the chief, and I'm a
Hmm.
chief too. We got to deal with this case, right? Okay, so like, what would her punishment be? You know what I'm saying? Like, how? Because here's the thing, Rachel Dolezal is not like, she ain't killing no black people or nothing like that. Like,
No,
is
no.
Rachel Dolezal, do we hate her the same way we hate like white racist police? You know,
I don't think I don't think we I don't think we hate her. Did she get canceled? Yeah,
yeah, she got
she
canceled
she, she got canceled because I just don't hear her
and
name
fired.
anymore. Yeah, and do we hate her? No. Do we see her as a problem? Do we see people like this as a problem that are cultural appropriators? Yes,
Hmm.
we see them as problems because you know who's to say that the lie will stop there? Who's to say that okay she gets all this she gets all this press and she gets all this she, she get all this like celebrity benefit to where she's almost acting as like she could just turn around and use that against us one
Yeah.
day, if she feels like it, if her black men are if any black man just like treat her wrong, who's to say that she's not gonna like turn that around on us and like
Hmm.
use it to like harm us.
Yeah.
um Appropriators are problems because we don't get to choose who we want to be. We don't get to say, like, hey, we're black this day, and then the next day we're white. And
Yeah.
for the fact that we don't get to choose, and for the fact that they have the privilege to choose, or like even think they could choose, it's unproblematic, and we have to use her as an example for other white people so they don't repeat the same things
Hmm.
down the line. You know.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. But look, Kofi, since you the chief, you letting her back into the village. When can she come back?
She has to. She can't come back into the village. She has to go to another village and assist us from far. You
Yeah.
know, if if her thing is to say, hey, this is what I was trying to do. This is my past. Let me try to help black people in another way. Let me have some black children. That's a start. If she really feels the
No,
way she
I mean,
feels,
she got mixed race children though, right? I mean, her children are
so
by black
her
men, right?
husband. I'm not sure. I haven't looked
I
that
think
up.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think her
Okay.
husband is black. Cause I mean, she was like trying to do this whole like the lady was serious. That's why okay for me, I would let her back into the village,
Hmm.
but she got to come back as a white lady. And I don't mean white in appearance, but I mean she got to be willing to tell the truth. Because once again, for
Yeah.
me, I think she would have been way more effective as a white lady. You
Yeah.
know, still telling her truth or whatever. Now I don't know if she got caught up in some rabbit hole where she was like, I'm finna racially transition, and after this day, Rachel is dead as a white lady, and from this day on, because I mean, people get caught up in it. Like, we were talking about those semantic disagreements, right?
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever had an argument with someone who is not African or has like deep African roots, such as you and I. But
Hmm.
whenever you get into the whole human accomplishment or historical arguments, a lot of
Yeah.
times people will say, oh well, we're all African. They try to hem you up on that
Oh yeah.
semantic
Yeah.
point of like, oh well, we're all African, technically they're all our ancestors and blah blah blah, and
That shouldn't negate from from
they shouldn't negate
a,
from the fucking genetic mutation. Like, I mean, we talking
yeah. That shouldn't
thousands of
negate from the
years of
fact.
distance
Yeah.
between, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So but people try to hem you up basically saying that why can't Rachel Dolezal do this? Technically, this is what she's from, right? As
Hmm.
if we don't actually, as if all humans have access culturally to the African heritage because of, just human
That
development.
that would be fine if white people and all other races of people were
Honest.
were going with that ideology in the first place.
Exactly.
If we're all human, then why are you
Why
calling
you
me
acting like this?
this? Why are you segregating me from this?
Right.
Why are you only enslaving us? You know, that it goes back to the point that the problem that we're trying to solve. You're not treating me like this, so don't pull that BS out. You're pulling it out because it's it just sounds good, and you're trying to separate yourself from the recent history,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. So we that talking point is not going to go, because that's pretty much what I'm trying to say, and your your people are going beyond these ideologies. So
Right.
it's like a
Right.
reverse psychology thing that it would confuse people. It's like using your words back on you. It's like
Right.
using
Right.
what you say back on you. And that's like, no,
Right. But I mean,
it's real tricky because you don't want to disagree with yourself.
no. I mean, because I know it's a semantic disagreement, so I know we already
Yeah,
talked about two different things. Like you said, the point is, if you were that African and you cared that much, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. You know what I'm
exactly,
saying? But because
exactly.
this is how I always handle that approach. I say, okay, yeah, so we all are from Africa. I say, okay, so it's your fault and your people's fault that y'all decided to be different, right?
Hmm.
So, like, what this got to do with me? If y'all wanted to go be different, now y'all different. Now I'm gonna handle you with the same way you handle me. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna call you out on your shit
Yeah.
or your stuff rather, because I keep forgetting this is YouTube. I don't even have enough followers to get monetized, but I'm about to get demonetized.
Hey, if we keep having conversations like this, we will have followers.
Of course, of
Uh,
course, of course. Once again,
um,
because the thing about it, remember, Kofi, it's about production. I think people want to participate in consumption of
mhm,
most things, but most people just won't produce anything. You know, so
mhm.
I think it's
The,
definitely
the other day we were talking about China's relationship with Africa,
yeah,
and you know how Chinese are going to be able to come to Africa and still be able to self-identify as Chinese, or hold their culture up. Are they going to put a Chinatown in each African country, or each African city? Are they going to segregate themselves from other Africans to try to remain Chinese, to have the same Chinese phenotypes? Or will they just take on will Chinese women and Chinese men take on African men and African women as their spouses, and just start new lineages,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like you want me to answer that?
No.
You're just saying that's what you're thinking.
I feel like our relationship with white people in the States will reflect our relationship with any race, with any group in Africa.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's gonna be on like it's gonna be the other way around, because now we're the majority, and they're gonna be the minority. You
yeah,
know, and things could get very, to me, if we act like them, things would get, their lives would be hell.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't think I believe we made these other races. You know, we went into different climates. We might have stumbled upon, let's say, Neanderthal,
Hmm.
and there could have just been nothing but black men, and it just could have been nothing but Neanderthal men and women that that we were in close, we were in very close environments. So that made the men, the African men, um, mix in with the Neanderthal culture, if that makes sense. Now the way the Discovery Channel has it, or the way the History Channel has it, they have white men doing it and meeting Neanderthals as if, as if that was the.
As if
I don't
that's
think
not
that was the
happening.
case.
Right. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's an interesting point. Well, with the Chinese. like I mentioned to you, the Chinese, I think it's a on average, most Chinese people are like, I want to have some Chinese babies.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
I don't
that's
necessarily,
anyone. I feel that's
yeah,
like
I
that's
don't
anyone.
necessarily care about that. I think that's everybody's prerogative. But my problem is when you go to a place and you don't create opportunities for the people who already live there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, cause
Yeah.
that's just predatory. Like, go compete with the fucking people in your country if that's what you want to do. But if you're gonna go to a new place, you need to be willing to integrate with the people who are
Yes.
there. And I mean that for everybody, no matter where you go. And
Yes.
hopefully those people that you are integrating with have such an open mind that they can publicly work with other people who are not like them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But with the Chinese, I don't know. I mean, I think all that shit should be broken up as far as, I mentioned to you when I visited Kenya, I was told
Hmm.
that there are quite a few neighborhoods in Kenya that are like exclusively Chinese. That's a red flag for me. Like, the government should step in and say, hey, we have anti-segregation laws here, and you guys have a trend of building and then all trying to stay in the mix with each other. No, you guys have to break this up. And even if Kenya wants to be technical, they can say, well, we know culturally in China you guys have this thing going on when it comes to black people, and we just want to make sure that that's not happening, or you're not excluding yourselves for nothing. Because I guarantee you,
Hmm.
if they're making those choices to live near each other like that, I wonder if there's any housing discrimination that's going on, or if
Hmm.
there's any housing discrimination, or like opportunities being given out only in that community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things like that. So that's what they probably should look for. But a lot of times it's private business to private businesses, and so this guy sells his land to this company who sells the land to these Chinese people who decide to put some property on it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's better to check it and make and at least regulate it so that you don't have a problem on your hands. Because like we talked about last week, the last time we chatted, in China, like Chinese people can't even own Chinese land. So
Mm.
that should be like a huge red flag to the rest of the world as far as, okay, well, if Chinese people are traveling and purchasing land outside of the country,
Hmm.
make sure they're not doing, bad things with it, or, hoarding opportunities or whatever to, and then creating imbalances within the community. Because once again, the Chinese government is like, hey, the government needs something to fall back on. If private citizens can purchase land, it may be like the last time where all the wealthy people had all the land and all the opportunities, and the poor
Hmm.
people suffering. And
And
so,
that's very similar to what what Jewish people had to go with. Every other community they found themselves in, whether it was within the Egyptian, whether it was in ancient Egypt, or whether it was in, let's say, Rome, or within Spain, or I'm trying to just look of, or whether it's in Germany. They've always found themselves kind of in trouble because they're spreading their religion, and then they're procreating, and then they're 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 gaining faster wealth than like than the other demographics, than the
mhm,
majority demographics, and they always find themselves being prosecuted at the end of the day,
yeah, yeah.
and like being chased out.
Look,
And
look, not a joke. Well, not a
yeah.
joke, but it's funny. When you bring up Jewish people, I'll be like, my people. No,
But
but real shit, they accept me because of this last name. But I mean, I don't
but
have
the
a problem
only
with Jewish people at all.
no, but they found themselves in these predicaments
Hmm.
because it's not it's a fast growing religion, and it's the religion, it's very I don't want to say it's very profitable, but based on their religious policies, um, they've been masters. I'm not even sure if this is anti-Semitic, but I would say that they've been masters of capitalism.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if
which
that
is
makes sense.
interesting. Which is interesting because I know the issue that people had, the critique that people had for Nick Cannon when that whole debacle happened with him, and criticizing Jewish people, or I don't know who he criticized specifically, but they were saying, like, I thought they were going to be angry about one thing,
Hmm.
but they were actually, the people who were angry were actually, they claimed they were angry about something else. So I thought they were going to be angry because he was sort of talking about, and I think this was going to be his big point that he thought also probably was going to be the most controversial, as
Mm.
far as like when we say Jewish people, when we're talking in English and we're dealing with all this, and we say Jewish people, we're thinking,
Like a race.
white people, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, the Jewish people actually, being black in origin and blah, 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 right? So I
Yeah.
think that's what he thought was going to be controversial. But what people actually nailed him on was him saying that Jewish people control things through economics,
Mm.
which he says, when Jewish scholars or Jewish commentators and stuff, when that was all going on, were saying that that's part of the propaganda that was used in Nazi Germany to
Yeah.
convince the population that the Jews were whatever that they were. Um, they were in cahoots basically to try to undermine the economy and destroy it
Yeah.
from inside because they had wealth. Now the another person I was listening to was saying the reason Jewish people were in Europe and in opportunities of like finance and whatnot is
Hmm.
because when Christianity had a hold on Europe, finance was considered, because the tax collectors in the Bible are vilified and whatnot and looked at as negative, right?
Hmm.
So finance jobs were considered dirty for Jews. I
Hmm.
mean, it was considered dirty to Christians. They were like, oh, it's dealing with money. The money is the root of all evil, blah, blah, blah. And with all of those ideals at the time, in Europe at that time, Europeans were very religious. So
Hmm.
with those ideas, they were like, okay, well, if it's money related, hire a Jewish person, hire those Jews and let them do that.
Yeah.
And so that's how they got to those positions. And then this propaganda came out or whatnot. But to your point, a Jewish person today, I'm pretty sure, just like anybody else, you got Jewish scammers out there too. I'm sure, and Jewish people who take advantage of people and all of that. So I mean,
Yeah.
I always bring that to the table, no matter what group I'm dealing with, as far as that being a constant. Scammers, all of us have the scam, you know.
Yeah.
So
and and look, there's differences. You have the super Orthodox Jew, and then you have people that just consider themselves of the Jewish faith.
here are
And
say
then as a whole, you have people calling themselves Jews, like it's like it's damn near a race,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It's damn near a race of people when Semitic just means of a Semitic language.
Yeah.
So that's
I don't,
you know.
this is my thing. I don't know if Jewish people like target or want to do things in a negative way, using economics to control. I don't think that's what's happening. But I do think the current, like, European Jews or people who look white,
Hmm.
like, because me, I can't look at a person and be like, oh, this person is more than likely Jewish. I can't do that. You know what I mean? Some
Hmm.
people say they can, but I can't really do that. So I think the fact that Jewish people can pass for white, I think that gives them, basically all the freedom that they need if they want to build wealth. I think us looking at them as black people, seeing that our relationship to whiteness and how white supremacy interacts with us,
Hmm.
especially when it tells us that it doesn't like Jewish people, right? But
Yeah.
whether we like it or not, even in Europe, Jewish people were, have you ever heard of a clandestine Jew?
No. No. I
Okay,
probably go ahead. Go ahead.
a clandestine Jew, and I think my family possibly were I don't know if they were clandestine Jews. I'm not sure, but anyway, clandestine Jews are secret Jews, and so
Mm,
like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I heard her family were clandestine Jews. I think in Poland or something like that. And so there are Jews who in public say they're Christian, but they're actually Jews.
oh, okay.
But to avoid, the persecution that was happening at the time. But a
Yes,
nigga that's not liked by the KKK, it ain't no amount of nothing you can say to a person who, back in the day was trying to hang a black person for whatever reason.
exactly.
Like, it's nothing you can say. So Jewish people have to be able to admit that level of privilege. I think many are, but when
Mm,
we're looking at it, I don't think we should. I think we should understand that's what it is. I don't think it's that they are more this or more that or whatever is, them plotting. I think it's that relationship to whiteness and them being able to essentially pass,
yeah,
you know?
Pr- pretty much the whole anti-Semitic thing. You could use that until you get to until you have to deal with the black race.
Yeah.
Now, when you're dealing with the black race, if you've benefited off of if you as a white Jew were able to come here and say, hey, I'm Christian, but then go back home and say, hey, I'm Jewish, and be able to benefit off of the oppression of black people, you do have to take a back seat.
Mhm.
Now, if I'm working at your if I'm working at your place, or if I'm working at a platform that you're funding, well then hey, you could fire me because of that. But if I'm in my own country, and if I'm working for my own corporation, to where the shareholders have only so much power that they're not going to touch my profits, and they're not going to destroy my business, like then you're gonna just have to kick rocks, and that's how we got to treat it. We shouldn't the the Ashkenazi Jew or the Israeli Jew are just white Jews in the period. They don't have any say over our struggle, just like we don't have any say over their struggle.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they thought that they got their way with what's his name, if they thought they got their way with Nick Cannon, I don't if it was on their platforms.
Yeah.
But in all actuality, like no, it's the same thing as if we're trying to voice something about blackness and it gets ignored. It's like, okay, we can't really do anything about it, and I feel like the same thing with them. They can't really do anything about it. You just have to kind of be like honest. The way I see Jewish people in Brooklyn, they're just being true capitalists.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. They're just being true capitalists, and like any group of people, they're going to want more of their people next to them and more of their people winning, and that's what they're doing. Now, when it comes to Africa, I don't think any I don't think any other racial group of people should be benefiting until there's benefits for the indigenous people as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
For me, I mean, in my life personally, I've had Jewish people that were pretty good to me. I had a Jewish guy that was really good to me at one point, and then he was really shitty to me. But I mean, I don't attribute that to his Jewishness. I think that was just his personality. But once
Yeah.
again, I admit my privilege. Look at my name. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I probably have some type of Ashkenazi Jew heritage through slavery or whatever.
Hmm.
But
Who's to say
so
that the name isn't original? Maybe it just come from
right,
your
that's
origins.
I mean, that could be a
You,
possibility too. Who knows?
your, your people may have never been slaves.
I mean, that's possible.
I'm not I'm being naive on that topic, but
No,
who
that's
knows?
very possible on this side of my family where this name comes from.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the occupations that like my family, the men in my family held, like my
Hmm.
grandfather, for example, my grandfather worked in Japan.
Wow.
in like the fucking 40s. Like, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't in the military, but he was a sailor. You know what I'm saying? He worked on it.
Wow.
So, and I don't know what his people did prior to that. But I mean, I don't know. They maybe have been on some type of plantation or something. But I don't know. But it's possible that maybe they were okay. So the story is from what I know. This
Mhm.
guy had property in New York actually, and he sold his like town home in New York and purchased a plantation down south. I want to say
Mm,
in like South Carolina or something like that.
mm,
But my family is from Alabama. So I don't know if this man, you know, and there was one point in US history where um, you know, you couldn't import slaves anymore. And so that's where you get this the origin of this huge boom of mixed race people that existed in the United States
mhm,
prior to, because you know, as black people, we had to go through a time where we had to convince the light skinned black people that they were black. Like that's what
mm,
the whole Black Power Afro movement and thing was about, because it still was this chasm between, you know, the so-called light-skinned black people and the dark-skinned black people in the United States, you know.
mhm,
So they made it illegal to import slaves, but what that caused was slave white men were able to get their slaves pregnant. And then they
mm,
created, and I want to say in Virginia or somewhere, there was a law created where the status of the baby was assigned to the baby through the mother. So if the mother was a free woman, even if she had been impregnated by a slave man, the baby was free. And if
mm,
the baby was the mother was a slave, even if she had been impregnated by a free person or a slave master or whatever, the baby was considered a slave. So
mm.
you see that this is the motivation for many people to procreate with their slaves to, you know, so they don't have to import anymore because the importation became illegal because they can't, right?
Yeah.
So it's possible, but what you see after that, you see some slave owners began to purchase. Well, I won't say they began to purchase, but some of the descendants of those slave masters began to purchase their siblings and family members or whatever. Or if a
Mhm.
person would get out of slavery some kind of way, they would then enroll themselves as like a slave master and then go out and purchase their family
Wow.
members. So that's a huge
Wow.
history of that as well. That is usually that is very little talked about. But a lot of free people would go out and purchase their family members as well.
Wow.
Um, so I don't know. I mean, I could be a direct descendant of these people, or I mean, I could just have the last name because you know these people own my people or whatever. But
Yeah.
either way, when Jewish people or people we think of as Jews, when they tell us, when they see my name, if they don't see my picture, they probably think I'm like some traditional Jewish man because I have a authentically Jewish first name and a German Jewish last name, or Poland Jewish last name. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
then when they see me, I've even had Jewish people look at me and say, based on your face, you look Jewish, like you look like Jewish people, but black, which is
Yeah.
weird. But I'm like, you know, but I grew up in Mississippi. I didn't grow up with any, you know, so-called Jewish people. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like. But I've
I
had
mean,
many,
then, then again, if all men come from black people,
right,
it should be the other way around. No, you look like me, you
right,
know.
right, 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 right. But I told you, according to a lot of black people, I don't necessarily look black. You know, people always be like, "What you got in you?" or like something is different. You know what I mean? But
When you
to
is
me, I don't.
your
I look like a average
is
black man.
your is your hair coarse, like when you grow your hair, is it like coarse?
Yeah, it's coarse. I think it's
Okay.
coarse. It's it's like it's weird. When my hair initially grows,
Hmm.
it's straight, kind of like an Asian person. Like
Wow,
it's like
wow,
spikes. But then I
wow.
mean it coils as it grows. But I mean it is a weird pattern if my hair grows out.
So
Like I mean
like,
I've had people comment on my hair pattern being a little weird, but I mean it looks like black people's hair. Like I could have like that style that you have where it's like high up here and like I had that before. I started going thin and I just shaved it. But I
yeah,
had that for years. But when my hair initially grows, though, I mean, it is spiky for whatever reason. But
it
I
could
mean,
be
I have a
like some like Moorish influence, or it could just be some like Caucasian influence in there too.
It
It's what
could be. I
happens.
mean,
You know?
I have all, like I told you when we talked the last time. My heritage is authentically American. Like, I mean, my family has been here for a very long time.
Mm,
And so, with that being said, I mean, I have like legit European heritage,
mm,
majority African heritage, and even Native American heritage. Like, people, it's so funny. People say, oh, all black people say I got a little Indian me, enemies, blah, blah, blah. But that's
mm,
real for like my family and where we come from. Like, we
mm.
even still eat some of the Native American dishes that we ate, before colonization. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So, it's a little weird. So, I mean, I know why I look like this, but for me, because of the way I was raised, most black people have these three types of heritages. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
So, you know,
And like one of my reasons for wanting to move there so badly is so like I could be in my blackness more.
mhm,
I'm like I'm in the winter my skin is pale and I
yeah,
look like Dominican or like Puerto Rican and I'm like if I go I'm already noticing that white women, Asian women and like Spanish women they're not looking for like my like money and like seeing like what I have financially. They're looking at me more for my body.
right, right, yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like damn, like I don't they're I'm like tempted, you know? This
yeah,
this like temptation is very high. So I'm
yeah. And
like,
people don't talk about that. People don't talk
no,
about that a lot. But with black men are heavily desired by most women. You know what I'm saying?
yes, there's
And
more
so,
women, period. There's a lot of women, period.
yeah, and so that becomes a thing. It's almost like it's funny. I think I heard somebody say that, like, what we think of, in the United States or whatever, how we think about like the tiers of desirability or whatnot.
Hmm.
Traditionally, we claim that like the white woman is at the top, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree with that, but that's what they say. Like the popular thing is that white woman is at the top. It's almost as if when you flip that and you look at men, the black man is at the top. The black man is
Mm,
the most desired secretly and publicly. And
yes.
also, commodified, even if it's like I know I met an Italian girl, one of my funny, such a funny lady. I wish I still was in contact with her, but we were studying Chinese together in Beijing, and
Wow.
she was from Italy, and just like so funny. But I remember she told me one day she was like she has a bucket, like one of her things before she dies. She's like I have to sleep with a black man. But once again, but where does this desire come from? It comes from the whole this man is going to make me feel a way I've never felt before, or, maybe
Yeah.
this penis will be larger than I've ever seen
Yeah.
before.
It's gonna
All
fill
of
all the
that.
walls
Right,
of
right.
your birth
All
canal.
right, all of that stuff. And so that's where she has this, oh, before I die, I need to do that. And
Hmm.
so a lot of women, if I'll tell you this, if an Italian woman who barely speaks English tells me that, knowing where I'm from and who I am and all that stuff. How many other women also have this, ideology in their mind that like, I may not be into black men, but before I die, I need to at least have sex with one. You know what I'm saying? When
Exactly.
then what does that do to black men or black men who, sleep with women or whatever? How do black men then deal with that pressure, especially if they're looking for authentic relationships? And then you have women constantly throwing themselves at you. They're just like, I want you to just do me good this one time.
Yeah, yeah.
It complicates things a lot.
And that's why we have to separate sex with procreation. You know,
Hmm.
you could have sex with anyone, but can you have children with that person
Right,
and
right.
raise them with that person? That's just a whole nother field. And in America and throughout like tourism, there's just a whole bunch of sex that's happening, and it's a lot of the times it's forms of prostitution where you're hooking up with someone that's also somewhat oppressing you,
Hmm.
you know. And from what I see, whenever a black woman chooses a white man, nine times out of ten it's not because like they're like equal in like finance on a financial scale. It's just that look, these people are gentrifying a black part of the of this area, and oh, guess guess where the black women get to live at? They get to go up into their masters' houses, and that's pretty much just what it is. It's sad, but because of certain gender roles, women don't have to be ashamed of that shit. That's just while men in the opposite role, we would have to be ashamed of it because we would look very weak,
Yeah.
if that's the other way around. And I'm not going to shame any woman for doing that because I am not a woman, and I'm like, hey, there's plenty of fishes in
Oh,
the
hold on,
sea.
wait, 1 second. So let me ask you this. This brings me to my next point a bit. And I mean, I want you to finish, but you
Okay.
said something really interesting to me. You said, I'm not a woman, so I don't want to criticize. I hate that approach. I think women
Mm,
have convinced us that we can't criticize them, and I don't like that because I mean, either you're a man or you're a woman. I mean, you can say you're like non-gender binary or whatever, which that's fine too. But I mean, we got a maximum
mm.
of three options: man, woman, or neither. If I'm not gonna criticize you, who the hell am I gonna criticize?
Oh,
You
that's
know what I
true.
mean?
That's true.
So
I'm not gonna criticize you, but the truth is still there. The
right, right,
truth
right,
on
right.
why you chose this person is because you're being somewhat dominated. I always hear
This lady,
some, you
this
know,
Italian girl that I'm talking about, she was definitely more dominant. It's so funny. She was so dominant that
mm,
she actually would kind of like troll our professor.
mm.
Like I noticed that when she came into class, the energy would just totally shift.
Was
It
she
was
just
totally
attractive? Was she very attractive? Is
yeah,
that what
she
it
was
is?
gorgeous. She was gorgeous,
Okay.
funny, and she was quite dominant. She would push back. It was hilarious. She was crazy, but
Mm,
she was a total troll. Like that
mm,
day, she was like trolling the teacher a little bit. But once
mm,
again, I was a Chinese major, so my grades mattered for me because when they transferred back, they actually went like towards my degree. But a lot of
mm,
the people that I will be studying Chinese with, they would just be there for like some internship or they decided they wanted to have more leverage in China and they own a business and they're just there. So I mean, a lot of people that I went to school with, they didn't necessarily need to be super nice to the teacher because they were just trying to learn the skill. But
mm,
me, I mean, I needed it because I needed to get my degree.
mm, mm.
But she trolled the teacher a couple times, so she was definitely dominant. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and sometimes like I prefer black women,
Uh-huh.
but then what you prefer
It's
and
not
what
always
you
what you
could
get.
actually and what you can get is just two different things.
Yeah.
And sometimes if like I could just point out that in order to be in a black relationship in the United States, there's some power there.
Yeah.
Whether you're well off as a couple financially, or like whether you're not. I know I know two things. Black people having families with each other. It's just by coincidence. It's just because we're like in close quarters with each other.
Mhm.
Now, if the relationship is going to shit, and then you get these two family households, and you get these baby mothers and baby fathers everywhere, it's like are these like successes? When I see a black man when he gains wealth and then he instantly picks the white woman, is because he gained wealth in a white dominated area. Because where's the money coming from to finance all the stuff? It's coming from like white financiers.
I got a theory on that. You want to hear my
I got
theory?
it. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so okay, the basis of it, I think, okay, colorism. I think the way colorism manifests. So one way I think colorism manifests in both genders, like in the United States, for women, it makes them want to emulate white women. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
For men, I think it makes men who are heterosexual, I think it makes them want to, it makes them desire white women or also want to procreate with white women, which
Yeah.
then trickles down and creates this hierarchy that dark skinned black women complain about as far as colorism with black men preferring lighter skinned women, blah, 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 all of that. So, but I think it's most insidious by causing young black boys to desire white women sexually. I think that's how it manifests.
Mm,
This colorism or anti-blackness or whatever. I think that's the origin. So the interesting thing about it, and I noticed this when I was in university, white women are not attainable by black men usually until you reach a certain level.
mm,
But the desire to be with white women has usually been with most black men from the time that they're children. You see what I'm saying? And
yeah.
it's something that's never attainable. Like if you go to school with white girls, the the white girl you probably can't get. Or I mean, if she's dating a black guy, she's probably dating like the football player or something like that. And then in college, that's all it's about. I went to Ole Miss, and
Mm.
so those are also stories for other days. We don't have to
Oh
get
yeah, yeah.
that.
Big.
So
That's
I
a big
went to I
college
went
for
to
sure.
Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi, and you could not find a white girl dating like a black guy that was not on the football team or the basketball team. And then conversely, if an athlete was on the football team or the basketball team, either he already had a girlfriend
Hmm.
or he probably was dating a white girl. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
so, or I won't say he was. I mean, I'm pretty sure there were lots of um, black athletes there who probably wouldn't date white women. But if the relationship was pretty public, or if it was like the player, like starting pitch, and they're always on CNN and all of that, he probably was dating a white girl. But
Mm.
on the opposite end of that, you couldn't pay a white girl to date like a regular black guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
once again, I think that's that insidiousness of that manifestation of anti-blackness and, um, or I guess I would say the imaging of seeing women. Once again, I think because in the United States it's usually that blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman,
Hmm.
it manifests in women and like trying to emulate white women with people say the wigs and the hair and all of that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And black men, I think it makes black men who are into women desire white women some kind of way.
Hmm.
So I think that's very interesting. So it's almost like a weird status symbol as well. So when these men get to a point where white women will look their way, I think they go for it because once again they've had this desire, and now white women are looking at them because of
Hmm.
their status.
Yeah, and it's like they can't date anything lesser than a buck. You know, if your daddy's the slave master, and your daddy desires this big buck Negro, that's of value. That's gonna be of value to my plantation for many years, for more than many years, because he's gonna release his sperm into other other bigger black women, which is gonna produce like even more bigger men. I see the white woman and the white man looking at the black man as their like prize to make money.
Hmm.
Now, if unless you come to this conclusion as that desired man, you wouldn't know to defend yourself and say no. I don't want this. I don't want you to want me for my body. I want you to want me for my mind. If anything, I want you to want me accidentally. But you know that I know she don't want you because of that. She wants you because you're a jock, because you're athletic, you're I'm strong, you have good genes, and her men are just average compared to you. You
Yeah.
know, now now if average white men aren't being desired after, or aren't being you know they're not being chased after, um then are average black men going to be desired? I would say no, not until we get that bag. We would have to like show these things financially. Are we willing to do that? I don't think we're willing to do that either, because that's just not that's just not a good characteristic Maybe that's the way to get women, but I feel like if you're a person that never had problem getting women, you wouldn't feel that you need to flaunt yourself to do that. You're gonna do it in an intellectual way. Now I've seen average women too. That there's a such thing as an average woman. But there's that underlying thing where nature just wins out because um, most women, if they had the choice, they would pick that one guy and just try to get that one guy's sperm and have his baby, and they would be the second, third, fourth, fifth, eighth wife. That's also ingrained into their nature too, and that's what keeps the machine going, the humanity machine going. It's a perfect recipe to make humans go on into the future.
Mm-hmm.
So if our nature is to blame, well, so be it. It's our nature. There's something called the selfish gene, and when men are at war and they feel like they're gonna die any second now, well, they're gonna probably go out and like rape a lot of women too, because they're trying that selfish gene is trying to get to the next life. And within the selfish gene, there's a lot of ignorance in it too. There's a lot of mishaps. There's a lot of ugliness, unfortunately, and unless you know this, you can't combat it. You know,
Yeah,
you can't have the public decency or the dignity that like one would have to control this.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, yeah.
Um, okay, now what did you mentioned the Chinese social credit? What did you want to say about that?
Well, I was wondering if it could be implemented onto the African continent because, like, China have a lot of,
Oh, that's a wonderful point. That's
yeah, yeah.
genius. That's
China, China
genius.
have a lot of cameras around. They have a lot of surveillance cameras around, so
Yeah.
they could actually capture you doing a good deed in society, like picking up a person that fell, picking up
Well,
some
it works.
tissue.
It works. It works by people reporting it.
Yes, yes, that too.
Yeah, it works by people reporting it. I'm pretty sure if they see something just extraordinarily, like, the authorities will probably nominate people. But it's supposed to be, like if you're a bad person, it limits everything. Like I know this guy, they implemented it in some city. I can't remember the name of the city. I want to say it was in Sichuan, someplace in Sichuan province,
Mm,
and wasn't in Sichuan. It might have been in. I can't remember where it was at. But anyway, people have to report it. But if you do something bad or like you don't pay your bills on time and all that, it also hinders you. There are consequences.
oh
So like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so there was this guy who needed to fly, like he couldn't get on any plane in China.
Oh
Because of his
yeah.
social credit, he could only take like the train and the bus. And then I mean, it's 3 tiers. So at first, like, when his credit started getting bad,
Hmm.
he couldn't book first class tickets. Then he
Hmm.
couldn't book flight tickets at all. Then, he was only able to book train or bus. But if he didn't
Within
continue
his
to grow it,
local, within his local district. That's it.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't. Well, I mean, this one guy, I don't think he can fly out at all.
What
But
about you?
how?
I'm I'm gonna let you finish, and then I'm gonna like come out with like a mic drop too on this.
Okay, and like he couldn't travel, and so he could only travel by train and bus. And I think maybe before he got his credit together, he couldn't even travel by train. I think he could only do bus. And
Mm,
I was like, oh, that's a trip. But if you know anything about Chinese culture and
mhm,
Chinese people, there's this concept in Chinese is called Wenming. Now, Wenming in Chinese just means like civilized, but
mm,
civilized in Chinese also means the same thing as cultured. So
mm,
to become civilized, one must also be cultured, and to be cultured, you must be educated.
mm,
So that's their thing. So a lot of times when you see Chinese people acting a fool, the Chinese government already has acknowledged, and especially Chinese intellectuals, they say that the Chinese people you still have a lot of quote unquote savagery going on. And so this is why they're looking to implement this credit system, because they're like, okay, well, we've made inroads to get people educated, or people are still not educated, and we need to be able to punish them some kind of way, whatever. So, I mean, I kind of get it. I kind of get it in the sense that
Or we,
the
we, we, we need to be able to have them on their feet and think about these consequences before they
right, and not
do.
only that, but I mean, how can I put it? I think they know that at its worst, a Chinese person who is like on some BS and
Hmm.
doing all this savagery, it's a real problem, because you're dealing
Hmm.
with someone who is completely like just gone. You know what I mean? And so I
What
think that,
if?
which also is contributing to, people criticize Chinese tourists in Southeast Asia. Everybody hates Chinese tourists because they say they're loud,
Oh yeah.
they are rude. Chinese people have a culture of, like, if you're eating chicken, let's say you're eating chicken with bones in it, or fish with bones in it,
Hmm.
you put the bone on the table, like directly on the table from the chopstick, which is
Hmm.
weird to us. Like, you would never put trash on the table. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And a lot of other places it's the same way, or things like spitting inside. For a long time, Chinese people would spit inside because to them the ground was the ground. These are the
Wow.
same people who don't bring their outside shoes into the house. You know what I'm saying? So the ground is the ground. It's just nasty anyway. So
Hmm.
to a traditional Chinese person, it doesn't matter if I'm sitting inside a restaurant and I spit on the ground, because it's the ground, right? Somebody will come
Hmm.
clean it up later. So I mean, it breeded a culture of all that kind of stuff when people were like, okay, if you were more civilized, you wouldn't do that. Chinese people were saying this. So
Yeah.
I get it. I can only imagine what those same things look like in business and
Um,
all this stuff.
I was watching a documentary, and this journalist, a Chinese journalist, well, he exposed someone who was really high up in the government,
Yeah.
and I guess they were in the story, and I think he won. I think it got approved in court. It won in court.
Yeah.
Well, his credit score all of a sudden just went down. It
Right.
just got
Yeah. I think
depleted.
I heard this story. Yeah. He's stuck in his city.
And this was the guy that was just stuck. Now you would think he's doing a good thing, but the
Mhm.
penalty was like the penalty was like he wasn't able to live. He wasn't able to live up to his greatest possibility. He wasn't able to live up to his talents
Yeah.
because of he outed someone that was doing corruption. Now this credit system is is also being used in China as a way to like shut people out
Right.
and
Right.
to
And that's the
quiet
problem.
them. Now Africa, this doesn't need to happen. Look, the Chinese people could do whatever they have to do in order to keep control of their country from like outside forces. But in this instant, that was an internal thing. That was like an internal conflict where it wasn't a Chinese person against a American or a Chinese person against an English person. It was China man versus China man, and that was pretty petty. Now I'm like, why can't we implement these systems in Africa and and encourage people to do the right thing, and
Yeah.
their credit would go up, or their wealth would go up, or this social app would just send you money every time you just do something good. You could discover a problem and you could report it. You could yeah, pick up the trash. You can clean your street instead of putting this type of roofing. You could put this type of roofing and make sure it's being done correctly. Then everyone's kind of like benefiting off of it. Like you're actually getting monetary points. You know, I feel like with technology, there's nothing you could miss. There's no problem you could miss. There's no solution that can't be solved. There's no problem that can't be solved. And I would like to copy that from the Chinese, but then take away the penalty parts that makes a person stuck. I don't think we should be going backward. We have to go forward. You know. I think that would be a great idea. But that's interesting. You
I
know,
agree.
you know.
Hey, keep talking to the people. I'm gonna go use the bathroom for a second.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead. So the type of stuff we're talking about right now is not is not so much involving Africa, but then it's touching up on like it's stemming from a conversation around Africa, like how can we take the problems that we have in these Western countries and avoid them on the African continent, um, whether they're going to be unavoidable or not, and what can we do about that? Right now, we're trying to get the African continent to the same levels as any other nations. So there's some things there's some things we have to take, and we have to adapt to the continent. There's some industries that we don't want to be on the African continent because then it would be detrimental to the environment. It would be detrimental to its people, you know. And a lot of nuances is spawning from this conversation. A lot of people wouldn't even wish to have these conversations and just would like to just shut it all down. Well, I feel like this is a podcast that's gonna take you there. That's gonna go there. You know, and you get to share your point of view from an African state of mind. Um, do Africans need to necessarily copy China to become what China is today? I would say yes and no. I would say yes. The technological advances that China is going through right now is very great. They're doing it at a fast pace, and they're also helping the world. Do we want to go towards pollution? No, we don't want to go towards the pollution that stems from an economy such as China. And I believe
You know,
China just got that from England. They just got it from Europe. Europeans didn't know that they would amass this much pollution due to their progress.
right,
You know,
right.
and it's
Well,
these
no,
are just like one
Europeans
thing.
knew. Europeans knew because
Oh yeah.
during the Industrial Revolution, because the Industrial Revolution, I heard it started in England, right, and then it went to America, and then it boomed and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm,
And America, in a sense, beat England to began manufacturing innovations that then took over their economy or whatever.
mm,
So if you go back to the Industrial Revolution, I don't know if they knew how harmful it was, but there are stories about how in like the 1800s in New York, like how the it was always dreary and looking crazy. And I heard that even England's climate today is still foggy like that, possibly due to like the industrial revolution there at the time. So it did destroy a lot of things, eco- not economically, but environmentally for the United States and Asia and Europe, which makes me wonder if that's why they were like, "Hey, yeah, let's put those factories over there," you know.
mm. Yeah.
But
I was reading
I think the
something.
Chinese
Yeah.
out capitalized the European. You know what I'm
They,
saying? Because I think the Chinese. I don't know if they knew this. I don't know if they knew. Maybe they did, but I think they figured, okay, well, we'll do whatever we have to do to keep the costs low, to keep
mhm.
the business, so that we can once again get control of the innovation. And then once we have the innovation, we can then create our own markets.
Yeah.
And so, like that whole Google ban. When China banned Google and Facebook and all those tech companies years ago.
Yeah.
That was the greatest decision that they could have ever made, honestly, now for what it gave them. Because you have, like I mentioned to you, Tencent, WeChat, Alipay, Alibaba, like all of these wonderful, crazy domestic companies that would
Hmm.
have never existed if they had not blocked Google. Now, the reason they wanted to block Google is because of the whole censorship things. You know, it's things that we publish here that they don't want their population to see, or they don't like our versions of the story. And so
Hmm.
that's the reason that they blocked them, because they were like, you have to take off these sites, or stand with us and let us censor this information, or censor this information, or you can't be here. And they were like, no, we're not going to censor anything because freedom of speech, blah 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 blah. And they were like, okay, peace. But what that did, it created the environment for these companies that would the space that would have been used by Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Amazon and who else do we have? Like all these streaming platforms.
Hmm.
All of that. Now you have 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 Chinese companies that are occupying that space because of that ban. That although it looked like it was like, okay, they're trying to limit freedom, it actually protected them from the capitalism that we experience here today.
Yes. Yes.
So it's really crazy. It's really crazy. It's really
It is. And should do Africans do the same thing? I would say, I would say like now it's I don't say I'm not saying it's impossible, but I feel like whatever platforms you're on, you would want to build your own version of them, so you just have more control of them. Everyone wants some type of like, yeah, everyone wants to be independent from something that's foreign and like controlling, and that doesn't improve your life,
yeah.
and but is Africa? Africa is not a China. Africa, there's no United States of Africa. There's not one language. Um, we are speaking a foreign language. That's something we all share in common. I feel like English is a trading language because we could not speak to the Chinese if we both didn't know English. We could not speak
Right.
to,
That's what it's becoming. It's
you
becoming
know,
a Chinese language.
English is becoming an international global trade language, and that's fine. Should Rwanda try to take over the Congo and go from there, take over all West Africa, so like the entire Africa could be Kiswahili? I think that would be disastrous. I think
Hmm.
we could do it. We don't have to necessarily do it that way. We have access to the same media, to the same stories as anyone else in on a continent does. And it's obvious what Africans need to do. They have to they have to do things for themselves, and they have to cut out the middleman. And the middleman isn't someone who looks like you. The middleman is more so someone's that stems from the old colonial rule.
Yeah.
Now, where China could benefit for a while in this arena is that they don't have any ties to that. They don't have any ties to any colonial superpowers in Africa. So I feel like Europe is gonna, for the most part, Europeans will more so take a backseat.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's exactly what's gonna happen. I think that's
yeah,
exactly what's gonna happen. And then you have this sort of awakening that's happening in Asia to Asian people realizing, oh wow, the Europeans have this concept of race, and they call us these, yellow people or these Asian people, and blah. And what does that mean? You know what I mean? So
yes,
as these cultures and these peoples are becoming more educated, they're also beginning to hold accountable the descendants of Europeans who came and wreaked havoc in those places. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
And
yes,
so it's weird. It's a good position to be in for us because everybody is now looking at the African like, who can we trust but the African? You know what I'm saying?
hmm,
Because the African has no, like, the African doesn't want your land. Like, the African doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Can be the African doesn't have to be selfish because the African already has.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And we conquer you, and we're a different threat than everyone else. Like we're not necessarily gonna come in with an army and like blow you to pieces.
Hmm.
But because we could implant, say, 100 of us in one small area, what will start to happen is once your people start being intimate with our people, then we'll start changing we'll start changing how we look, and we'll start changing how you look. But it would have more of a bigger effect on them because they probably never had to go through something like that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I know, okay, I know there's gonna be a lot of Africans a lot of the men who are gonna come face to face with the men of foreigners, and they're gonna be like, oh man, they're taking our women out of jealousy. And I'm like, I I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid because one, we have a lot of women. We have a lot of women. Do we have a lot of women to share? Are they to be shared? You know, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you wanted to, you could change the genetic makeup of you. Be scared.
Mhm.
I don't think it should be that crazy. I don't think it should be that vindictive though. Like, but that's what it's been.
Yeah.
A whole empire's a whole empire's motion. I mean, motive is to remain the same and keep both out of the hands of the people that we're still in front.
Yeah. Yeah.
In order to ensure their survival.
Hmm.
You know.
Okay, so Kofi,
Yeah.
last 4 minutes.
Okay.
What do you want the people to know?
Well, what I want people to know that Africa is the future, and I want Black people, specifically Black people in the West, to know that you have options. You don't have to you don't have to struggle in someone else's um, nation. You could you could you could take ideas from those nations and just bring it back to a place where no one's gonna pick you out because of your race, because of your genetic makeup. And that's what I want people to take out of this. If you are a non-black person, you can assist the continent in a in a good way. Use your privilege to rewrite your wrongs. And I want people to tune in for the next series of topics, and be open minded, and add to them, if you
Yeah.
will.
Well, as always, brother, I'm so happy we connected. I'm telling you, when I saw you on the video today, I was like, I gotta get with this guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
Hey,
glad we connected, and
glad we
yeah, it'll
connected.
be many more, many more, and
Yeah.
let me see. Yeah, I think that's it. But we'll definitely be doing something else sooner than later. And I think you said you have some guests that you're gonna probably try to get to bring on. That'll be nice.
Hmm.
And yeah, until next time, you guys make sure you check out ultrasupplychain.com and sign up as a member, so that I can connect you with other people, or you can follow other people and see what they're doing, etc. And until next time, peace out. Look, I should do like, do you watch the people, the Bag family, like in Gambia? You know what
Oh
I'm talking
yeah,
about?
yeah,
They be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
peace.
They like
And
peace and peace, hair grease. I gotta get it. They do something.
it's
I
cool.
watch
I
them
think
all the time.
they the peace, love, soul, something like
So
that. Something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But it's nice. I'm out to make us something.
Okay, okay, okay,
Cool, but good job, and we'll definitely do more because I mean
okay.
the people need us. Maybe we'll try to keep it to an hour. I don't know, but we get on tangents and then we just go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We do.
But that's the best thing. It's organic communication.
Yeah.
All right. So peace out, Kofi, and thank you again. And I'm glad that we
Um,
actually got a chance to go live. I'm going to be sharing this everywhere. And
okay.
then let me know when you want to go live again, and I'll let you know as well.
Okay. Subscribe to my channel, Couples Productions. I'm out.
Couples Productions, subscribe,
Yeah.
like, share. Remember, we need you guys to share, okay? So make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. And so subscribe to Couples Productions as well as ultrasupplychain.com and my personal page, Wise Linguist, which I mean, I have like bird videos. And, you know, if I want to talk about something that's not necessarily development or trade related, I put it there. All right. So, Kofi, thanks and peace out.
All right. Peace.